Well, folks, good evening to you, one and all, and great to be back with you this evening again. As you can see, we are down at Hockenheim, and that in the GR86, as I think it's going to be something really brilliant, to be very honest with you, because I think the times are going to be pretty close up front. Let's have a look at the competitors for this evening. The likes of Gerald Maget, Wesley Lewin, Paul Webber, Raymond Duggan, Gerald Free, Sandra Bakari. Oh, and already the boys are starting to put their fast laps in. There is Luke Lucchese. He's the fastest man provisionally. There is Timothy Stanton. The next man that, Gerald Ferrie is in the house as well. Graham Stephen up into the second row of the grid. Leon van Wyk in the Being IT GR86. JJ van der Merwe, very nice. JJ van der Merwe in the 1.4. Stephen McCarthy is on the third row of the grid provisionally. Raymond Duggan, that had a pretty good week last week, is right in there as well. He's looking pretty good. Michael Stephen, for now, down there, but it won't be for long. He'll be moving up. Paul Webber, he's had a pretty good run in the 28 car. Of late, Sandra Bakari shoots the first shots across the bow of the Grand Masters. Leonardo Bakari, just a smidgen off him. Herman Lazarus obviously didn't have too great a first lap. Peter van der Spey. We're still waiting for Swayze Hubert to do a complete clean lap in the Oreo GR86. There you can see the map of the Hockenheim circuit. And to have a closer look at that, that's what it looks like. That Sachs Curve, that Mobile One, that's fantastic corner. That you go flying through there, just playing with the accelerator. And then also the Sachs Curve, a very, very well-known section of the circuit, as Swayze Hubert loses the tail end, but gets it all back together again. So that's all good. So the fastest man with 6 minutes of the 12 gone, Luke Lucchese from Gerald Ferrie. Timothy Stanton, Graham Stephen, Leon van Wyk. Outside of the third row, JJ van der Merwe, provisionally at this point. Gerald Maget's done a pretty decent job so far, except for that little spin. He's up into 7th overall. Stephen McCarthy up onto the 4th row of the grid. That's brilliant stuff. Raymond Duggan, 9th overall so far in the Iron Brew car. Wesley Lewin, the man from Jalen Performance. He's just taking a breather before he starts his next flying lap, I would tend to think. Michael Stephen, surprisingly, not on it right now. Michael Stephen in the 191 car. Surely he will bump himself up quite a bit. Let's keep an eye on Michael Stephen. I do think that, Luke Lucchese has got a purple sector as well. As we keep an eye on Michael Stephen. Let's see how this one plays itself out for him. surely he was going to bump himself up quite a bit. Yep, as expected, he goes up into that 6th position, knocks JJ back. Oh, that's not what JJ wanted. He's probably got one more chance at one more flying lap, and that's going to be it. Wow, look, he's gone into the pits. He says, I think I've done enough. Let's just have a look, see if we can see him there. He's right at the top end of the pit lane. There he is. Graham Stephen, also on the front row of the grid. So he's also back into the pits. Leon van Wyk is back into the pits as well. Gerald Fourie trying his best to get himself up onto the front row of the grid. He's got enough time to finish this lap still, so that should be pretty interesting. Can Timothy Stanton, he's just slightly further behind him. There he goes into that complex now. Can Timothy Stanton bump himself up into that 2nd row of the grid? Remember, Michael Stevens still out there. Oh, Michael will still be able to finish this lap as well. So that is all good. He's still in with a shout. Timothy Stanton, I think, might just be in with an opportunity. Here he comes now through the last corner. And can Timothy Stanton go just that little bit quicker? Nope, Timothy Stanton's going to stay exactly where he is. That just shows you the pace that there is up front with that situation. Gerald Fourie, a 157.91, so not quick enough to go any further forward at all. He says he's had enough of that. What about Michael Stephen? Michael Stephen can finish this lap. And Michael Stevens down in 6th position, so he will fancy his chances of going a little bit further forward. No, he said it's not going to work. It ain't going to work for him. What about Wesley Lewin? Wesley's given up on that one. Paul Webber's just completed a lap. He's on a flyer. So we just got 45 seconds still to go. And then it's going to be all over, bar the shouting. So we just got 45 seconds still to go. And then it's going to be all over, bar the shouting. 45 seconds still to go. Right, let's have a look at that grid. Let's see how that looks. Luke Lucchese from Graham Stephen, Gerald Fourie from Leon van Wyk, Timothy Stanton from Michael Stevens, Stephen McCarthy up into 7, just ahead there of JJ van der Merwe, Raymond Duggan from Gerald Majay, and then Paul Webber. And then behind that, our Grandmasters, Peter van der Spey is the leading Grandmaster from, I see there's Wesley Lewin. Sandro Bakari directly behind Peter van der Spey from Leonardo. And then Herman Lazarus. Oh, it didn't work for Herman or Swayze Joubert at all for this one. So for those of you that have just joined us, this is where we are. It's Hockenheimring. And the guys are already up and good to go. This is the part we like to refer to as the calm before the storm, because it's going to get pretty busy pretty quickly. That is for sure. Let's see how this one's going to play itself out as they work. Nice to see the likes of a Luke Lucchese that's in there. Probably find that he will back out of it at the end. Luke is a previous champion, and he does all the homework in the background to ensure that everything is correct. So a massive big thanks to Luke Lucchese. And then to the gents that came on board now towards the end of the season: Leonardo Vicari, Gerald Fourie, and JJ van der Merwe, that also came on board as well to make the end of the season possible for us. So that is fantastic stuff. And Wesley Lewin of Jalen Performance as well. Right, here we go. Down into turn number 1. It's going to be Luke Lucchese, Graham Stephen, Gerald Fourie as they make their way through turn number 1. They've already spread out into Linus Stern. Timothy Stanton's there in that 5th position. We've got a spinner, and that looked like it was Peter van der Spey, unfortunately, that had that bit of a spin as they work their way into that long right-hander. It just keeps on turning and turning and turning. It just doesn't want to come to an end eventually, as we see them come towards us. Now JJ van der Merwe climbs out the pack. JJ van der Merwe is trying to have a look up on the inside of Stephen McCarthy. But now look at this. This is a heavy braking marker coming into the complex. A very, very tight turn. Michael Stephen has a look up on that inside line. It's Gerald Fourie that goes through there as well. Timothy Stanton from Michael Stephen, and the spinner that's dropping down there is JJ van der Merwe as Luke Lucchese works his way through from Graham Stephen, Leon van Wyk in their IT entry, then the Roland Manifolds car of Timothy Stanton, Michael Stevens right in there as well. Stephen McCarthy's having a pretty good run so far. Stephen McCarthy finds himself in that 6th position. There you can see in front of Stephen McCarthy, there is a Michael Stephen. Look at the grandstands. The grandstands are packed as they work their way around. Luke Lucchese, that red dot out front. Graham Stephen right in there behind him. In fact, let's go on board with Graham Stephen. Let's just watch the steering work of Graham Stephen. Nice and smooth. Feeds that accelerator. Uses the curbstone. Make sure that he lifts just slightly, not going off the outer edge of the circuit. Nice and smooth on the gears. Now there'll be a light taper off. Nice and smooth. That's what makes Graham Stephen so fast. But looking back from him, there you can see Leon van Wyk, and you can see the green there of Timothy Stanton as well. Let's have a look with Swayze Joubert. He had that incident, did Swayze? He came pretty much off the back end of the pack. Yeah, stuck his nose up on the inside of the Castrol car, and unfortunately that did not work out for him. The other man that was involved in an incident was Raymond Duggan in the Iron Brew car, that in behind JJ van der Merwe. Oh, he just went in miles too hard. Now, GR86 does not like to be thrown around like that whatsoever. Going back to the front end of the field, it's Luke Lucchese that leads out. It's Graham Stephen behind him. It's Leon van Wyk. It's Timothy Stanton, Michael Stephen, and Stephen McCarthy manages to stay ahead of JJ van der Merwe. Now, JJ van der Merwe has been pretty honored recently as well, working his way there. Look at the rev range. Just as it goes to red, he pops it into the next gear, into the stadium complex. unloaded on the accelerator pretty decently. Fourth gear, hard on the brakes, touch that curbstone all the way down to second. Don't carry too much speed in semi-late apex, run right towards the outside. Use as much of the greenery on the inside corner. You see dipping on the brakes there was Stephen McCarthy pretty hard, but in front of him was Michael Stephen that went a whole lot wider on that specific corner. So two very different lines there. Graham Stephen is the fastest man out there, which means that he's got to be closing up onto the man in front of him. Let's go to those intervals. There you can see the intervals with JJ van der Merwe. Another man that's having a pretty good right now is Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari in there behind Wesley Lewin, but he's got a whole train of cars. Wesley Lewin, Sandro Bakari in there behind that. Herman Lazarus, slightly different colors for Herman Lazarus. Then the recovering Raymond Duggan in there behind that. Herman Lazarus taking that somewhat different line. I think that Herman Lazarus might just be able to make the move on him. But then again, coming next corner, he is going to be on the outside line. Don't be surprised if he goes for the all-encompassing cutback. Let's see how this one plays itself out. Hard on the brakes is Raymond Duggan. Herman Lazarus goes wide. No, Herman Lazarus stays on that wide line. In fact, he tried to carry more speed through, and it worked for him. Initially, it didn't look like it was going to happen, but it really did. We've got to go back to Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen's trying to put the pressure onto Luke Lucchese. And while that is happening, Herman Lazarus is right up on the back of Raymond Duggan. Gerald Fourie in there behind him. Gerald Fourie, in fact, now coming up alongside with the Castrol GR86 as they go through underneath the bridge without any sign writing on it. The two of them getting very, very close to one another. Gerald Fourie wants through. He wants through kind of quickly. Remember, Sandro Bakari is leading out from Leonardo Dakari. And then we've got Peter van der Spey. Probably fine. Peter's been in and out of the pits. Now, Gerald Majay has been in and out of the pits. It was that initial spin that created that Peter finds himself now at the back end. I see there's somebody that's on their way into the pits there already. That is, in fact, Gerald Fourie. So Gerald Fourie realized that he was going to get stuck at that position because Herman Lazarus is no slouch whatsoever. He decided, let's rather duck into the pits and not be held up. Now, there's two battles that's happening up front right now. The one is that one. That's Luke Lucchese and Graham Stephen. And there's another two-way battle directly behind that. That is Leon van Wyk trying to hold off Timothy Stanton. Then just behind that is Michael Stephen with a bit of a gap from a hard drive and a good drive right now from the Sugene Properties entry of Stephen McCarthy. There is JJ van der Merwe that's directly behind him. Wesley Lewin. Oh, look at this group of cars. Wesley Lewin. It's Raymond Duggan that's in there behind that. And who is going to be the winner of that lot? It's going to be Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari is driving the race of his life. Peter van der Spey has started to move up positions, but Sandro, wow, is really taking the fight to Peter van der Spey this season. Season number 11, race. Where are we? Race number. Whoopsie! That was in a little bit deep and a little bit hard. That one didn't work out so well at all. Let's see how that one actually played out. Sandro Bakari. Coming through there pretty fine at that point. Under braking, comes back across the line and nowhere to go. And the 172 of Sandro Bakari is sent packing with that one. So let's go back to the front end of the field from the top end down. There they are. Luke Lucchese and Graham Stephen. A bit of a gap now between Timothy Stanton and Leon van Wyk. Then the next man coming through, Michael Stephen, Stephen McCarthy, JJ van der Merwe. Then there's a bit of a gap, a 9-second back gap to Herman Lazarus, Raymond Duggan. Here's a bit of a fight here, Sandro Bakari with Paul Webber, and the next man coming through behind that is Wesley Lewin. Peter van der Spey has made up a fair amount of space. He's now in the same shot. There is Peter van der Spey. And that's Leonardo Bakari that's in there behind him. Timothy Stanton's on the hunt. Timothy Stanton is up on the inside of Leon van Wyk. The last of the late breakers. Timothy backs out of it. Looks like Timothy's got a bit of understeer there because of the late braking going into the corner, but somehow he still carries pretty good speed out of the corner. You'll see going out of picture there was Graham Stephen and Luke Lucchese. This is Leon van Wyk and Timothy Stanton. Leon van Wyk holding sway at this stage of the fight. Timothy Stanton, looks like there's a lot of body roll on that motor car of Timothy Stanton's. They're all running the same settings, but you can see how that car is leaning over. And while that is on the go, Stephen McCarthy is not that far behind Michael Stephen. That's a pretty good fight, that one as well. The closest battle at the moment, well, Graham Stephen has gone past. Graham Stephen is past Luke Lucchese. Let's just have a look, see how exactly that one played itself out. Did Luke Lucchese make an error? No, I think Luke Lucchese probably just lifted off a little bit. Say, I'm not going to hold Graham up all the time. I'll let Graham go. And hence the swap around at the front end. Remember, Luke Lucchese goes back to the front and he said, hey, I gave you a bit of space. You got to go faster than that if you want to make it happen. Oh, Luke Lucchese's on the edge. Luke Lucchese and Graham Stephen having a lovely battle. Side by side, it doesn't get any tighter than that. Great respect between one another. Luke Lucchese and Graham Stephen. What is Luke going to do? Is he going to try and go around the outside? He's going to do an early break and the cutback. Tries to do the cutback. But Graham Stephen says, no can do. I ain't going to give you space for that. Timothy Stanton and Leon van Wyk have got a bird's eye view of that. In fact, let's have a look from Timothy Stanton. What can he see? That's the battle that he's looking at. And he'll be hoping that the sportsmanship side of it goes out of the window and he gets a chance to get in there, because Leon van Wyk is just in front of Timothy Stanton. They ride pretty different lines, does these two. Oh, using all the curbstones and a bit more into the stadium complex. They go. Timothy Stanton slightly early on the brakes than Leon. Is going to try and get the run coming out of the corner. Leon was pretty good on that section of the circuit. In front you can see Graham Stephen in there behind Luke Lucchese as they work their way through the double left-hander. Timothy's catching up just a little, turns in a little bit earlier than what Leon does, and also runs a slightly tighter line than what Leon does as well. But let us go back once again to Graham Stephen. Lovely battle. There's the Stanton battle. There's the McCarthy car. He's just getting a little bit away from JJ van der Merwe. Wesley Lewin's on the move with Paul Webber. Look how close they are to one another right now. Let's have a look at the pit stops. Remember, everybody has to do a pit stop. It's only Gerald Fourie and Gerald Maget, the two Geralds, that have done their pit stops. Looks like Swayze Hubert is also in a tight one there. Swayze Hubert in behind Leonardo Bakari. So Sandro has now only got two cars left between himself and Peter van der Spey. That one's getting pretty tight. Leon van Wyk and Timothy Stanton. Timothy Stanton just had a bit of a look in there. Now, that's the cutback that I was expecting him to do on the previous run. But look directly behind them. There's another battle royal that's starting to brew there behind them. Timothy Stanton now on the inside line. Leon van Wyk on the outside. That will swap around. Will Leon dive it up on the inside of the corner? Yes, he will. Remember, there's a left-hander, another left-hander, and then a right-hander. But Timothy Stanton, Graham Stephen fighting it out. It's bringing Michael Stephen and Stephen McCarthy into play as well. So Leon van Wyk will be thinking, yes, like it, man. Leave me, let me go. Timothy and Graham, What do we do here? We're fighting one another. Timothy goes a bit wide. That's going to mean that he's going to be closed up by Graham Stephen even further. So Leon van Wyk is going to be desperately thinking, yes, leave me alone, let me go, you follow me. Now we've got a four-way train that's working its way around here. And the man that's on the move is a Graham Stephen as Timothy Stanton has a look up for that inside. Oh, let's just hope that they don't touch. Are they going to go three abreast? Are they going to go three abreast? You can't go three abreast through there. Timothy Stanton makes it through. Oh, Leon van Wyk dives up on that inside line. Leon van Wyk takes it back again. But look at that. Stephen McCarthy's come to play as well. Maybe we must go on board with Stephen McCarthy and see what that one looks like from inside. There's the best view in the house. And the other man that's playing right there is this man. It's Michael Stephen. Michael Stephen is up behind Graham. Now they're going to go three abreast. If ever there was a time that three abreast was a possible option, he's trying to get in there and stick it up. But he knows if he goes up on that inside line, it's probably going to cause chaos. You could hear he actually lifted off. Timothy Stanton's going to try and turn in there. And Timothy will be held towards the outside. So Michael Stephen is in behind Graham. Where is Timothy Stanton? Well, he's not there. That means that he's probably up alongside. Yes, he is. Oh, what a lovely race. Big thanks to all the guys that have had some amazing racing recently. Really, you couldn't wish for better. So the only man with a bit of breathing space is Leon van Wyk, Graham Stephen, Michael Stephen, Timothy Stanton, Stephen McCarthy. JJ van der Merwe has even been able to catch up just a little. Look at Gerald Fourie. He's the leading man that's... Luke Lucchese, the leading man that's been in and out of the pits. Graham Stephen now getting very close to Leon van Wyk, but that's because it's time to go into the pits for some of the guys. Leon van Wyk is in, Michael Stephen is in, Graham Stephen. Once again, the Stephen brothers, one goes in, the other one stays out. And then the very next lap, the other one goes in, and they normally come out bumper to bumper. So Stephen McCarthy right now finds himself in that second position. 9 of the 13 laps, 16 minutes into it. JJ van der Merwe, not having been into the pits yet, is in that third position. Oh, I think I saw JJ just go off the circuit. Is that possible? No, it looks like it was it looked visually out of the corner of my eye. So the man that is the leader on track is Leon van Wyk. He's got Sandro Cara directly behind him, who's not been into the pits. And then the next man that's been in and out of the pits is in fact Michael Stevens. So there is Leon van Wyk, and the next man is there. That is Michael Stevens. Leon van Wyk's going to have a look now and make sure that he doesn't get himself tied up. The next man in front of him is the Iron Brew man, Herman Lazarus and Sandro Bakari going side by side. Looks like Herman Lazarus is going to win out that one with Sandro. Sandro probably thinks, look, I'm ahead of Peter. I'm not going to fight with you. And, looks like Peter van der Spey has had an incident. Let's see if we can pick up that one. Peter van der Spey on that inside line as they turn it in. Oh, the 28 car. He lost it. That was Paul Webber that lost it and then touched the back end of Peter van der Spey. So that's a bit of a disappointment for him. And that all the work that he did to get back to Sandro's, Michael Stephen uses the track and a bit more. All of that work that he did. As I said, the one comes in, then the other brother comes in. Now it's Linus third. It's Graham Stephen. It's Stephen McCarthy. It's JJ van der Merwe. But in the meantime, enter center stage, look easy. He's on his way through. Remember, Raymond Duggan has not been in yet. So there is Raymond Duggan. And then the next man is, in fact, Leon van Wyk. So now it goes about where does Leon come out of the pits. Leon, having been in and out, finds himself then basically in that second position. Michael Stephen Oh, Michael Steven making the move there on Herman Lazarus. Was they obviously now slightly out of sync. Remember, Herman Lazarus has not been into the pits yet. Wesley Lewin is in. Paul Webber. Wesley Lewin on his way out. Leonardo Bakari on his way out as well. Paul Webber now finishes up and gets a hoof on. And there's Wesley. So it's only Peter van der Spey and Raymond Duggan that have not been in yet. Luke Lucchese is looking pretty decent. 4 seconds behind him is Raymond Duggan, but he's still got to go into the pit. So in real terms, that's Leon. Then the brothers once again, Michael and Graham, are all together. Then out of sync with them is Herman Lazarus. He's still going to go into the pits, which means then that the next man on track in that order in 5th position in real terms is then in fact Timothy Stanton. Once again in the top 5 is Timothy Stanton. Graham Stephen putting the pressure on Michael, but we know that they try not to affect one another at all, but they definitely work together. There's no doubt about it. Their strategies are always one directly on top of the other. Well, the laps are busy ticking away. Graham Stephen, the man that we've got in shot, holding on to the back end there of Michael Stephen. Just behind that, Timothy Stanton. Stephen McCarthy in that 6th position. Well done, Stephen McCarthy. And JJ in 7th. They all find themselves ahead of the highly rated Gerald Ferree. Everybody has now been into the pits. Peter van der Spey is on that pit exit. Where does he come out onto the circuit? Will it be ahead of Gerald Maget? No, Gerald Maget goes through. So that puts 3 cars between Peter van der Spey and Sandro Bakari. 21 minutes of the 25, lap 11 of 13, and the leaderboard is as follows. Luke Lucchese from Leon van Wyk, the Stevens boys using, oh, that almost turned to tears. I'm sure Timothy Stanton was saying, yeah, have some fun, go for it, all good, take one another out, I'll quite happily take that podium. Michael from Graham, Timothy Stanton, Stephen McCarthy, JJ van der Merwe, Gerald Ferree, Sandro Bakari just a little bit further back, and that ahead of Raymond Duggan. So Raymond Duggan is in fact 9th in class, 10th on circuit. Raymond Duggan in that Iron Brew entry. He likes that colors. Herman Lazarus being one of the last guys to go in and come out. And Herman Lazarus 6 seconds further back, still ahead of Gerald Maget. Sir Peter ahead of Leonardo, but behind Sandro, and that is where his fight really is with Sandro. A little bit further back, there comes Swace. Paul Webber in there behind him. And then Wesley Lewin. Hasn't been a good one for Wesley Lewin, just has not worked out for him whatsoever. Let's just have a look at the pit times. How long each person has been standing. The fastest, Leon van Wyk on a 4.9. About a 5.8 is probably around about the average for that one. As Luke Lucchese still leads them out from Leon van Wyk. You'll probably find that he will back off just before the end of the race. He'll probably go out towards the outside and go and stop and let everybody go through. Then it doesn't affect anybody's points whatsoever. That's what he did in the previous race, and it actually worked pretty well, I must say. It had no effect on anybody. At least he had the chance to also race with the guys and didn't affect anybody. Leon getting closer. I think if Leon does manage to get a little bit closer, he'll actually let him past and not hold him up, because he doesn't want to affect it at all. There's Michael and Graham. Timothy Stanton, top 5 once again. Stephen McCarthy, what a great drive for Stephen. I seem to think that he has previously also done very well in the GR86s. I think it kind of suits him, this type of motor car, this type of circuit, and that's why Stephen is where he is. Just outside of the top 6, JJ, still a pretty good run for him. On his last lap now is in fact Luke Lucchese, as he leads the guys around. Gerald Fourie won't be happy whatsoever as he comes across the line. He's still down in that 8th position. Sandro Vicari doing what he does best. He's really been on top form for this season. It's wow, what a difference. Raymond Duggan, Herman Lazarus just a little bit further back. You can see the white flag that is waving there. There is Gerald Maget, the recovering from that incident, Peter van der Spey, and that ahead of Leonardo Vicari. But I think we need to go back to Luke Lucchese. Look at that. It just doesn't get much closer than that. Anywhere in the next couple of corners, you'll see Luke Lucchese will probably just pull over to the side of the circuit and say, okay guys, off you go. Leon van Wyk. Oh, Luke Lucchese loses the tail end, and that brings Leon van Wyk right onto his back bumper. That was very unexpected as they go into the complex. See, Herman Lazarus has had an incident. Michael Stephen had a bit of an off track as well. As we follow through with the leader, Luke Lucchese. Here they come through now for the last time. And it looks like Luke Lucchese is actually going to take the win. Luke Lucchese from Leon van Wyk. Timothy Stanton ahead of Michael Stephen. Stephen McCarthy. JJ van der Merwe just ahead of Gerald Fourie. There comes Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen actually had an incident. That is why he dropped down. We'll have a look at that now while there is still time. There's Sandro Vicari coming across the line. Raymond Duggan finishes his race. Oh, battle royal. Look at this one. That's going to be Herman Lazarus coming across the line. Oh, right at the end. Gerald Maget ahead of Peter van der Spey. Leonardo Vicari right in there behind Peter. Paul Webber comes through. Suwais Hubert comes through. One last man out there still is Wesley Lewin, the Jalen Performance man. He's got Minolta on the car this time around. Let's just have a look, see what happened to Graham Stephen. There was Graham Stephen, went for the inside of JJ. Nope, the computer kicked us out just before we could do that one. That's a pity. I would actually have liked to have seen that specific incident. So let's have a look at those results as soon as the computer makes it available to us. Heat number 1. There we go. So, Luke Lucchese, the fastest qualifier that wins out there. Once again, the Being IT entry of Leon van Wyk. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. He's probably the part of the success story of 2024 season 11. Timothy Stanton, Roland Manifolds Racing in there in that 3rd position, top 3, and Michael Stephen in 4th. So Graham Stephen with that incident that he had in 8th position. That one is a little bit out of sync for him, because under normal circumstances he would have stayed right there with Michael. Stephen McCarthy then gets bumped up in the Sujin Racing entry into that 5th position. JJ van der Merwe will be super chuffed with that one, I'm pretty sure. Gerald Fourie would have liked to have been a whole bunch closer. But remember, on the invert, it's going to be a whole different story from Graham Stevens, Sandra Bakari, Raymond Duggan, Herman Lazarus, and Gerald Murray that rounds out the top 12. Sandra Bakari that picks up the win ahead of Peter van der Spey and Leon Bakari. But on the invert for race number 2, it's going to be a whole different ball game. So for those of you that missed out on the beginning of tonight, that's the track that we're on, Hockenheim, Noordkurve, Parabolica, Spitzker, Mobile 1 curve. That's where you got to be really smooth going in there. And the Sachs curves and the Site curve, that is the two that is very, very important to get it nice and smooth. You got to carry the speed through. Season 11 GR86 at Hockenheim in the Masters Series. That is where we are. And the results of race number 1 is what we just looked at. We're going to take a short break of 45 seconds, and we'll come back to you with the grid of race number 2. Right, let's have a look at that grid. On the invert, Gerald Murray, Herman Lazarus, alongside Gerald Murray on the front row of the grid. Raymond Duggan, Sandra Bakari will love that because that gives him a big gap on Peter van der Spey. But you got to finish it first to put the points there. Graham Stevens, Gerald Fourie, JJ van der Merwe, Stephen McCarthy right in the mix. They've got the big hitters, Michael Stephen, Timothy Stanton, Leon van Wyk, and Luke Lucchese directly in there behind them. So that's going to play itself out pretty interesting. You'll see there Wesley Loon will be coming off the back end of the pack. Peter and Leonardo will pretty much be alongside one another. So that's how it's going to play itself out. Let's see who is out on track there already. Here we go. Everybody's in. You can hear them selecting first gear. Just waiting for the pace car to come off the front end of the pack. So Gerald Murray, this is terrible for these guys. Gerald Murray, Herman Lazarus, Raymond Duggan, and Sandra Bakari. They're there in the front four. They know the big hitters are going to be coming, and they don't want to give anything away unnecessarily. But you also can't block and then think nothing's going to go wrong either. So it's a kind of a balance to keep yourself in the game. What can Herman Lazarus do from here? There's a lovely shot. The blimp has moved. The Jalen Performance blimp. As they go behind the Porsche building. That's the Porsche Club that's got an on-site there at Hockenheim. Into the stadium complex. Parking area is pretty empty, but I must say the grandstands are very full. Herman and Gerald, Sandra and Raymond, what do they do from here? I'm going to predict that the likes of Gerald Fourie is probably going to try and get through. And if he gets through and he gets away, well, there'll be good night nurse for most everybody. Straight away, Gerald Murray climbs on the gas. as they come out of the corner. He doesn't wait whatsoever. Raymond Duggan finds himself in there behind Sandra Bacardi, but he's got Graham Stephen. Gerald Ferries having a look around the outside of Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen quicker into the corner. Gerald backs out of it. It's Stephen McCarthy that's in there directly behind that. Gerald Mazet being closed down by Herman Lazarus. JJ goes towards the outside to make sure they don't make any contact. Stephen still looking pretty good at this stage of the fight. Paul Webber, Wesley Lewin bringing up the tail end of the field. Somebody went off. It was Timothy Stanton and Michael Stephen that went off circuit. Timothy Stanton recovers from the back end of the pack. That's exactly what he didn't need whatsoever. Wow, that is terrible stuff for him. In that fourth position, Raymond Duggan. Herman Lazarus runs completely wide. Stephen comes up on that inside line, also running very wide. I think that was Leonardo Bakari. Sorry, it was Paul Webber that recovers second, and that ahead of Timothy Stanton. Gerald Mazet is holding out. So that's one of the Stevens that is going down. That's Graham Stephen, and that's going to cost him big time. Graham Stephen goes a long, long way down. Let's just have a shofty and see exactly what did happen with Graham Stephen. That is the last thing that he needed. Into the corner they go. Raymond Duggan is on his inside. Oh, yeah, him and Raymond Duggan had a bit of contact there. Both of them changing lines slightly. And that was the end of that. It was Swayze Hubert that then got involved as well in that incident. And tapped up against the Marlboro car. And that took Leonardo out of it as well. So a bit of a chain reaction there. Going back to the front end of the field. Wow, Gerald Mazet. Brilliant stuff, Gerald Mazet. Can you believe it? JJ van der Merwe and Leon van Wyk have gone into the pits. Gerald Mazet puts up the fastest. Oh, we threw it away from the lead. Can you believe it? Gerald, oh man, oh man, oh man. Gerald, he'll be swearing in all different kinds of languages right now. That takes Sandro Bakari to the front. Peter van der Spy is already up to 7th. Herman Lazarus is holding sway in there behind that. As I said to you, Gerald Ferry will probably be one of the big hitters that gets through first. He's ahead of Raymond Duggan. Stephen McCarthy in that top 5. Bit of a gap back to Michael Stephen. Behind that, Peter van der Spy. Flying Peter van der Spy. Wesley Lewin in a decent position in this one. He's up into that 13th. But that lead pack, look at that. I think we've got to have a look at that from on board. The man that's following through. Oopsie, that was Herman Lazarus that went wide. Herman Lazarus that went wide. And as we ride with Stephen McCarthy. Look at that one. Gerald Ferry is right there as well. Herman Lazarus comes across. He's going to hold on to that inside line. You can't go through abreast into this corner. Somehow they make it through. Herman Lazarus is trying everything he can, trying to go around the outside of him now. Stephen McCarthy. Stephen McCarthy gets past Herman Lazarus, but let's see what's happening behind him. It's all on. It's all on. Can you believe it? It can't get any closer than that. Let's make it. Oh, they're all going to get through there somehow or other. Sandro Bakari and Raymond Duggan, and somebody's gone packing. We'll pick up that one now. Who it is that went flying off the circuit. I think it could have been Wesley Lewin. Could have been the man that went right off there. I see Gerald Ferries dropping down as well. And I think that was Gerald Ferry. Let's just check that one out. Yeah, he got it, the 77 car completely sideways. And that was... Timothy Stanton, I think, might have been pretty close to him at that stage of the fight. Michael Stevens gone into the pits. Sandro Bakari leads out. Raymond Duggan is still there. Stephen McCarthy, Herman Lazarus, Peter van der Spy. It's getting pretty hot up front. Let's see who has been in and out of the pits already. Leon, Michael, JJ, Luke and Gerald is in the pits at the moment now. So Leon van Wyk is going to be the deciding factor in this one. Gerald Ferry is on his way out of the pits. He's right at the tail end of the field. But not a train smash. Swayze Hubert in the Oreo car. Let's see what happened to Swayze. Oh, very late on the brakes. Touches the back end of Leonardo, and bang, into him goes Leon. JJ decides it's time to go through as well. So that has turned things upside down completely at the front end of the big hitters. Leon van Wyk behind JJ and Michael Steven. The closest battle out there now is Pieter van der Spey on the back end of Herman Lazarus. I think Herman's smiling all the way through this one. He's having a pretty good time out there. Michael Steven and Leon van Wyk, we've got to keep an eye on that, because Leon van Wyk is all over the back of Michael Steven, and they are the lead cars that have been in and out of the pits. Keeping in mind, even Luc Lucchese is in there behind them as well. Gerald Fourie's been in and out of the pits, but Gerald Fourie finds himself a little bit further back like that. So that's not where Gerald Fourie wants to be. Pieter van der Spey on Herman Lazarus. Herman Lazarus using a whole bunch of curbstone. That's cost him a whole lot of straight line spin, and that's put Pieter van der Spey in a position where he can have a go. And he's going to go up on the inside of Herman Lazarus. Herman tries to turn it in as tight as what he can. Somehow he carried the speed through there exceptionally well. Leon van Wyk is as close as he can get. But in fact, it's JJ van der Merwe. Wow, JJ van der Merwe. This is the lead car of the people that have been in and out of the stops. Can you believe it? JJ van der Merwe, brilliant stuff. Provisional driver of race number 2, Michael Steven, Leon van Wyk, Luc Lucchese. That is first, second, third and fourth. That is all together. Somebody's just lost it in front of them. Let's get a battle box up that we can see who in fact that was. Whoever it was, they've got themselves going again. Man, it doesn't get any closer than this. This is awesome stuff. JJ van der Merwe desperately holding out. He knows there's no... Oh! Contact! What a pity. Bang into the barrier, and the car turns itself the wrong way around. Michael Steven loses out on that one. That's the same spot where we had incidents earlier on with cars coming there on 2 different lines and swapping. There you can see it. Unfortunately, Leonardo Beccari also had an incident, probably in the recovery stage of trying to go around the outside of that. Yeah, he had nowhere to go, and that cost Steven even more in the end of it all. Gets turned around. So there's your lead pack. JJ van der Merwe, Leon van Wyk and Luc Lucchese, of the guys that have been in and out of the pits. But in the meantime, Sandro Beccari's got open ground in front of him. Sandro Beccari, he's got no problems right now. Look at all the open space in front of him. But he does have a problem behind him, and it's called Raymond Duggan. Raymond Duggan's right in there, and oh, they almost made contact. Raymond's going to try and do a cutback. No, he can't. Stephen McCarthy will get a whole bunch closer. That is first, second and third of the guys that have not been into the pits. Then Pieter van der Spey. It's been an incident. I think it's Michael Steven. No, that was Herman Lazarus that's just been involved there in an incident. Herman Lazarus comes through past the 100-meter mark before he climbed on the brakes. Runs it wide, tail end walks away from him, and he tries to get it going without getting in anybody's way. Well done, Herman Lazarus, on that one. That was pretty good stuff. So Luc Lucchese now leads out from Leon van Wyk and JJ van der Merwe, of the guys that have been in and out of the pits. In the meantime, Raymond Duggan, Sandro all over the corner curbstone there. And Stephen McCarthy's in. Stephen McCarthy's not going to get left out of this one whatsoever. He's all over the back end of Raymond Duggan. They're not going to go into the pits this time around. They love being up front there. We're right on board with Stephen McCarthy all over the back end of the Iron Brew car. Was a little bit tight going in, and that means he's very wide going out. That wasn't exactly the right line for him to make a move there on Raymond Duggan. Sandro Bakari, super. Ooh, he must have bent the brake pedal with that one. Stephen McCarthy probably putting around about 100 kilos of pressure onto those pedals as he stomps on the brake and tries to stay out of a contact situation. This is the lead in the race. Raymond Duggan wants that lead because the next one's going to be a right-hander. Sandro Bakari tries to close that line off. It's going to force him to go in a very tight line. Stephen McCarthy says, you guys fight for the inside. I'm going to go in hard. Probably going to go for the cutback like that. Does it work? Doesn't make much difference. The two in front of him are still alongside one another. It's Raymond Duggan and Sandro Bakari. Raymond Duggan on the right-hand side. Sandro Bakari on the left-hand side into the stadium complex. They go. Carries good pace in there, does Stephen McCarthy. He'll close right up onto the back of them. Will he go for the inside line? No, he's going to ride his own line as Raymond Duggan tries to go around the outside. Sandro keeps it nice and tight. Now closes off the line for Stephen McCarthy not to be able to come through there. Just touches on that curbstone. This is where the slipstream effect comes into it. Using that inside line. Oh, he gets it very sideways. Brilliant piece of driving there by Stephen McCarthy to make sure that he does not make contact. That was brilliant stuff. Sandro Bakari has then in fact dropped down behind Peter van der Spey. So that has cost him big time, because Peter van der Spey, Sandro Bakari, that's the real fight for the two of them in class. There you see Peter van der Spey comes through, and Sandro's still on the grass. Sandro comes back off the grass and comes back in there behind him. So leaders after having done the stops is once again Luc Lekizi from Leon van Wyk and JJ van der Merwe in a brilliant position. He's within 0.7 of a second. That's amazing stuff. 12 minutes 33. So in fact we are on the halfway mark now. 12 minutes 30. In my mind that's halfway on 25. And this man's doing a brilliant job, JJ van der Merwe, that is for sure. But I think we've got to take our hats off to Raymond Duggan in this one, because Raymond Duggan started at the front end. He's done it all nice and smooth and clean and nice. He stayed right at the front, as has Stephen McCarthy in the Sujin Properties entry as well. With that one mistake by Sandro Bakari, Peter van der Spey got ahead of Sandro Bakari, flashing the lights saying, let's get going boys, let's get going. There's Sandro Bakari with Graham Stephen that's flashing the lights behind Sandro saying, man, let me go. We're in two different classes. Tries to have a look up on that inside line with a Marlboro 7 in there behind the Monster Energy entry of Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari is not going to worry about those flashing lights from Graham Stephen. His problem's directly in front of him, and that is in fact Peter van der Spey. So Graham Stephen, have a nice day. Sandro Bakari not worried about your problems. He does eventually give him that gap. Maybe he thinks that on second thoughts, let Graham go, get the toe from Graham down the front main. Peter, that's in fresh air, won't have that toe effect. No, it's because he's going into the pits. He is going into the pits and getting himself out of the traffic is Sandro Bakari. So he will do the undercut. Majay in there, Gerald just behind that. So into the pit lane goes Sandro Bakari. The whole thing is now, where is Sandro Bakari going to come out of the pits? Well, Luc Lekizi's already gone through. Leon van Wyk has gone through. JJ van der Merwe has gone through. Timothy Stanton. Oh, look at that one. Timothy Stanton just makes it past. He carried the pace through there ahead of Sandro Bakari. Sway Hubert in the Oreo unit behind that. Paul Webber's got himself into a bit of a tangle here. Paul Webber. Oh, look at that. Maget goes a bit wide. Webber makes use of it. He had to turn just a little bit tight on the exit, so it didn't work out too well for him. Wesley Lewin, Herman Lazarus with Luke Lukizi directly behind him. Now, Luke Lukizi is the leading man that has been in and out of the pits, so the real deal is, in fact, Luke Lukizi, Leon van Wyk, JJ van der Merwe in that third position. Utterly brilliant. And on top of it, look at the gap he's got on Timothy Stanton. So JJ van der Merwe, if nothing goes wrong, is well on his way at this stage of the fight to picking up a third for race number 2, which is utterly brilliant. 15 minutes 45 of the 25, lap 8 of 13. Everybody down to 8th position that has not been in and out of the pits yet. Luke Lukizi is wanting to get through on Herman Lazarus, who's not been into the pits yet. Herman Lazarus in there behind Wesley Lewin. Gerald Maget has gone in. Paul Webber has gone in. Luke Lukizi still finds himself in there behind Herman Lazarus. He's got to stay ahead of that man, Leon van Wyk. JJ van der Merwe is fighting Leon van Wyk for that second position. He's not just following him, he's actually fighting the being IT entry. JJ van der Merwe obviously likes the Toyota GR86s. He's going to kick himself if he loses that Fanatec entry at some point and runs himself off the circuit. Herman Lazarus in there behind Luke Lukizi. So Luke Lukizi has just passed Herman Lazarus. And that is the man, the lead man on the circuit right now. Don't forget about the non-pits. Oh, Raymond Duggan. Commentator's curse. I said he had done it all right all day long, and there Raymond Duggan eventually, after 9 out of 13 laps, he loses the lead. So that means Stephen McCarthy is now the leading non-stop man from Peter van der Spey. Raymond Duggan, who led all along. Graham Stephen runs it very wide on that corner, but he normally does that. And that is the guys that are still in a situation where they have to go into the pits. Let's see how this one plays itself out. You'll probably find Raymond Duggan's going to go in, and then also Graham Stephen. Stephen McCarthy's in as well. It's actually a lovely camera shot, that. Peter van der Spey has gone through. So Peter van der Spey is there. Oh, there you just saw in the top end of your screen, Luke Lukizi, as they come to stop. The man that's going to go to the lead is in fact Luke Lukizi. Luke Lukizi, and then the next man behind him is then in fact not Herman Lazarus, that's a lap down. It's Leon van Wyk with JJ van der Merwe in tow. Stephen McCarthy once again in that top positions, the top 5. Raymond Duggan will be bitterly disappointed, having made that one error in the stadium complex. He's got Timothy Stanton and Graham Stephen in there behind him as well. Gerald Maget and Gerald Fourie are very close to one another in 13th and 14th position, as we watch Graham Stephen and Timothy Stanton's already gone onto that safe line. You see Luke Lukizi at the front, just ahead of the left Herman Lazarus. Timothy Stanton on the inside, Graham Stephen on the outside, Raymond Duggan just in front of them. That is 4th position. Herman Lazarus and Swayze Ube still have to go into the pits. I must have a look at that Gerald Maget, Gerald Fourie. That one's also very, very close. Gerald Maget finds himself a long way down, but he's having a pretty good race. I think he's pretty chuffed with that one. No problems whatsoever. Graham Stevens getting very close. Graham Stephen is... Oh, they might have made light contact there. Timothy Stanton. Let's see if we can maybe pick up a different perspective on that specific incident on Timothy Stanton. There's Timothy Stanton. Nope, I think it was all by himself. That looked like it was all by himself, unless there was a light tip from behind, but I don't think so. So I think that was just trying just a little bit too hard. Herman Lazarus has now gone into the pits. So with 20.5 minutes done, from the top end down is Luc Lucchesi, Leon van Wyk, JJ van der Merwe, Stephen McCarthy, Raymond Duggan's done well, Graham Stephen, Peter van der Spey, Timothy Stanton, Sandro Bakari, second in class, 9th overall on the circuit, and that's quite a distance, 5 seconds in fact ahead of Michael Stephen as the next man to go through, closely followed through there by the two Geralds. In fact, Gerald Majay having a look up on the inside of Gerald Fourie. So Gerald Fourie has not had a good one whatsoever. This will be a cutback like that. Oh, you could see it from a mile away the way he set that one up, Gerald Fourie, to make that one stick. Graham Stephen and Raymond Duggan. Raymond Duggan's done very, very well. Let's be honest, that Iron Brew entry has been rock solid. Just that one error that got him stuck back in the pack. But furthermore, he was really very, very consistent. Stephen McCarthy can be super chuffed with himself, and I think JJ van der Merwe must be giggling as he works his way around, because there he is. Okay, he's lost out a bit to Leon, but he's still 2 seconds ahead of Stephen McCarthy. Although you can't count that one out, because Stephen's on some pretty good pace here. So JJ is not for sure cut and dusted for a third position. Let's have a look at the last lap times. A 1:58.4, JJ on a 1:58.7. So Stephen did catch on the last lap, and then once again is 3/10 on this lap, but 3/10 ain't going to be enough with 2.5 minutes to go. You need a little bit more than that. So is he quicker? Yes, he is. Will it be enough? No, he needs an error somewhere, as Swayze Hubert has had an incident, and I think that incident might involve Paul Webber. Now, that's what happens when you gear down and brake and turn all at the same time. That's the situation that you have. You could clearly see that the back end had too much retardation on it, and it turns the back end around. A nice train of cars coming through here. Raymond Duggan, Timothy Stanton, Peter van der Spey, Sandro Bakari. That is for Grandmasters Honours, as we're 23.5 minutes in. Let's have a look, see where are the guys on the track map. Where's our leader? Yeah, you probably find coming through to get the white flag will be Luc Lucchesi, 4 seconds ahead of Leon van Wyk as we watch this lovely fight. Timothy Stanton once through on Raymond Duggan. Timothy Stanton had a look for that line. I think Timothy fancies himself to stay ahead of Peter van der Spey, who won't take any chances, because behind Peter is Sandro. That's all that Peter's interested in right now, is to keep Sandro behind him. So I think on the basis of Peter keeping Sandro behind, Timothy sees a chance to have a go at the back end of Raymond Duggan. And it's white flag time. It's a white flag for Luc Lucchesi. This is where the real battle is. So I think we're going to stay with this one. Luc's 4 seconds ahead of Leon. Leon's made 1.5 on JJ. There you can see JJ at the bottom of your screen. Stephen McCarthy has closed up to 2.2. I think that's going to pretty much stay the same, but Timothy Stanton wants that extra position. If he can get past Raymond Duggan, he might still even be able to have a look at Graham Stephen gets it up on what is now the inside line, which will become the outside line. Now, what does Peter van der Spy do? Does Peter van der Spy not get involved with this one, or does he try and make up a position and put some cars between himself and Sandro? Raymond tries to go for the inside line. Stephen keeps it nice and tight. Timothy's not scared to go around the outside. And, Timothy Stanton's off. Timothy Stanton is off. Comes back just ahead of Gerald Maget. That was a pity, that one. Wow, that's going to cost him so bad. They are on the last lap already. Man, oh man, oh man. Timothy Stanton right there on the last. Let's see if we can quickly have a shofty at that. Yeah, that was all by himself. That was all by himself. He just tried a little bit too hard. That outside line has worked for him. But yeah, this time it did not, and it was all or nothing, and it turned to nothing. Look, Lucchese coming through for the last time. And Luke Lucchese will take that checkered flag. There he goes. Luke Lucchese. A lovely drive, the being IT car of Leon van Wyk. JJ flashes the lights. Stephen flashes the lights. The two of them have been brilliant as Graham Stephen, Raymond Duggan, Sandro Bakari, Michael Stephen, Gerald Fourie, Timothy Stanton, Gerald Maget, Peter van der Spy. Can't believe it, so close to one another. Wesley Lou, and there comes Herman Lazarus. The guys having a bit of fun there on that last little section of the circuit. Herman Lazarus from Paul Webber. Paul Webber's had a bit of a quiet day today, I think. Leonardo Bakari. So Sandro Bakari beats out on Peter van der Spy with that last incident. That's going to turn things completely upside down, because I think Peter van der Spy was actually leading by a smidgen. And Sandro Bakari, I think, has closed up quite a bit recently. I think they could be probably... The last time that I heard, I think there was about 5 points between them. You're probably going to find... They could even be legal pegs at this stage of the fight. And just one more race to go in the season. Most anything is possible. Wow. That's all I can say. Utterly amazing. So there was your heat number one. Luke from Leon, Timothy, Michael, and Stephen. Let's go to the feature race. Luke once again. Leon once again. JJ, brilliant. Stephen, brilliant. Beating out in the likes of Graham Stephen. Raymond Duggan, brilliant, except for one little error. Sandro Bakari somehow other ekes it out. Make sure he stays out of the trouble and makes it happen. Michael Stephen won't be happy with that one. That's not where he expected to be, down in 8th position. Gerald Fourie as well won't be happy with that. Neither will Timothy Stanton. They would have expected and are capable of being a lot higher up as well. There you see the rest of the pack. So let's have a look. Driver of race number one. You'd expect Luke to be there. You'd expect Leon to be there. You'd expect Timothy to be there. You expect Michael to be there. I would say Stephen McCarthy in that 5th position, ahead of the likes of Gerald Fourie, Graham Stephen, Raymond Duggan, all of those guys. Driver for the feature race, no doubt. The jury just hit the gavel and said JJ van der Merwe. Brilliant stuff. JJ 3rd behind the highly acclaimed Leon van Wyk, the maestro himself, Luke Lucchese, and beating out on, I must say, Steve, in the absence of JJ van der Merwe, Stephen McCarthy would then be driver for race number 2 as well. Hard luck must go to Raymond Duggan. They tried exceptionally hard, did it all right with 2 laps to go, 1 error, and that dropped him down. Sandro Bakari, Well done. Somehow you beat out on Captain Peter van der Spey, and that could just be where he goes into the lead in that championship, and that ahead on the Grandmasters of Leonardo Bakari. Folks, that wraps it up for this evening. Thanks very much for joining us. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Gary Gazer from Second Gear Productions. That's all for tonight. We'll be back with you next week, Wednesday. Same time, different place, different car. Cheers, everybody.